Evening, guys and girls. How are we? Just thought I'd hop online. Things have been crazy at this end. Hey, guys and girls. I think we're live now. I hope everyone's doing well. Just wait for a few of you to hop online before I really get into it. Not seeing many people here hop online, but I'm assuming you are. Hey Josh, how you doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Just thought I'd pop out onto Facebook Live, have a bit of a chat about what's happening out in the marketplace. A lot of people with a lot of questions. Wearing my GFD shirt. Are you GFD compliant? I made these shirts about a year ago and been talking about this for 2 years. And did I ever think would see financial collapse? Did I think we'd see a depression in 2020 based on a fucking Asian guy eating a bat, right? Last time it was some Muslim terrorists that flew an aeroplane into a building. But here we are in 2020 and everyone's got problems. So look, I want to be a bit more sensitive today, just by the fact that I've seen a lot of bad things happening out there with people, and it's really, really bad. I think we're only at the start of this right at the moment. So what's to come moving forward from this? Some pretty scary stuff. Have I been through a depression beforehand? No. From a business perspective, I'm seeing a lot of retailers out there in trouble. I'm seeing a lot of people that I know that have businesses in trouble, and whatnot. But for me personally, I see this as a great time of opportunity, but I understand at the same time a lot of people are hurting as well. So, I should have got a water before I hopped online. Get my mate that's in the background here to get me a water. There's a bottle over there. There's a bottle. Oh yeah. So just. Thought I'd hop online. Lots of things have happened since we caught up the other week. A lot of things that I'm excited by. A lot of things that have hurt people. A lot of things that are going to hurt people. We are heading to lockdown from what it appears out there in the marketplace. However, I think it will get a hell of a lot worse moving forward. Thanks, bro. Cheers. So hopping straight into it, some of the topics that I want to talk about today. If we go into lockdown, I've had my team book out from a lot of you guys in the community that want help and need support during this time. Had a lot of you guys getting booked in for strategy sessions and one-on-ones. If you do have some questions or feeling a bit stuck at what to do, flick me an email to the email address on top of the screen here or wherever it's located on your device, and send me an email. I'll get my team to book us in for a bit of a look at your position and try and help you out with where you're at. So I'm booked out 8 meetings a day, Saturday, Sundays, all the way through to July. So just be aware that, things are a bit booked out for me in the future here. I will be doing videos every day if we do get a lockdown. Employ close to 100 staff nationally across all different businesses, a law firm, accountancy practice, financial planning, real estate offices, buyer's agency, education business, and all that sort of stuff. So as you could imagine, I've got lots of teams to sort of coordinate, working off site, going through a very big phase of development in our business as well. And it's just been a bit chaos at our end, just making things happen, which is all good. But looking at some of the things we want to talk about if we do go into lockdown will be videos on property markets that are booming, potential options on what I'll be doing in stock markets and paper markets, looking at finance perspective, and looking at how I manage my assets during this time. So I'll be making lots of videos around that sort of stuff. But today I'm going to talk about all random things, and feel free to shoot over some questions if you do have them, and I'll try and attend to them tonight. First one here is, I was talking to my brokers today. This is a letter from ANZ. Looking at the benefits. I coined the term GFD, Global Financial Depression. We are heading for a depression, guys. If you think it's a recession or whatever, I think you're all understanding now things are pretty fucked up out there. Have I ever lived through a depression? No. Have I got a good relationship with money? Yes. I tried to understand as much as I could, because I realised that it's not a specific asset type, it's the actual money that underlays and how that works. So it's a very interesting period of time. This is something that I've been very excited to see. I knew this would come. Firstly, we've got a rate cut last week. Not all banks pass it on. Some did in different sort of aspects. However, looking at some of the cool things that are out there. So this is some of the cool stuff that's coming through. This is here, ANZ Corona Scam assistance offering for financially impacted personal customers. FAQ. Number one, my customer is worried about making regular home loan repayments. What options are available to me? Basically, if your customer is ahead on their repayments, they may want to consider accessing their redraw balance first. Other options that might be available include making repayments using funds in their linked offset account, other deposit balances they may have available to make loan repayments. They can find details on the ANZ website. What is the ANZ Corona Scam assistance offering? If your customer is financially impacted by Corona Scam, ANZ may allow them to put their home loan repayments on hold for up to 6 months to support them during any financial difficulty. If the customer is already behind the home loan repayments by more than 29 days, they will not be eligible to access the ANZ Corona Scam assistance offering, but other assistance may be available. The customer can contact ANZ Customer Connect directly to understand what other assistance may be available. So all banks have got similar sort of policies that are coming out, but I just want to draw your attention to that one just then. Good questions here, guys. Keep them coming through. I've got a message here, private message saying, are we nuts to lock in fixed rates now? I'm not here to give you guys financial advice. I'm your non-financial advisor, but I am the dude that did predict where we are today. I expect that we're going to see rates go lower. So why would you fix them in if they're going to go lower? That's a question that I'm asking anyway. If you do need some help on that front, feel free to flick me an email with your position, and I can put you in contact and work through your position and see what I can do to help navigate you into the right place. But if we just go back to the Corona Scam assistance offering here, ANZ may allow you to put your home loan repayments on hold for up to 6 months. That's starting as of today. So let's just picture what this is, right? Let's say that you're paying $10,000 a month in mortgage repayments. That means that if you go and put that on hold for a period of up to 6 months, that's $60,000 that you don't have to pay to the bank, and therefore that is money in your pocket, and it's capital that you can use to go out there and perhaps purchase some said shares, or go out there and perhaps purchase some more property, or whatever the case may be. Or if you are really affected, it could sort of help you on your day-to-day sort of balancing of your position. From my understanding, it says here, what is the maximum time they can put their repayments on hold? It's up to 6 months. I just want to see if it's on here, but I don't know if it is. It is here. Point number 11 of FAQs for ANZ Corona Scam assistance offering. Will it impact the customer's credit rating? Very important. Make sure your credit file's good in this period of time. Will the Corona Scam package affect the customer's credit rating? No. If they are eligible for the ANZ Corona Scam assistance offering, the credit rating will not be impacted during this period. Free money, guys, free money from the banks. I'm not here to give you guys financial advice on this front, but important to understand what's happening with the banks there and the opportunities that are going around. I'm going to get into some of the stimulus packages. I've got, some of you may or may not know, I've got a very good accountant that I work with. I've got a firm called One Path Accountants. Ridwan, if he's your accountant, do a shout out to Riddy. He's an awesome guy. And the ATO are always there trying to scheme the shit out of everyday people, trying to scam people of their money and extort them. Worse than a Nigerian print scam email. However, accountants are pretty boring most of the time, and Ridwan is a guy of good character and a good sense of humour and very solid-minded. And I saw him send out to our clients today an update on the government sort of assistance package. So I'll read it out to you guys. If you do want to know more about it, flick me an email and I'll connect you with Ridwan from an accounting. So if you've got a business, I'm having a lot of people ask me, what happens to my business? What happens to my staff? All that sort of stuff. How can I protect the business during this period of time? I'm just going to get it so it has GFD on the video. But this one here is the federal government has announced further measures to support households and businesses in response to the Corona Scam 19. The government has announced a second set of economic responses to support individuals, households and businesses. One Path Accounting has taken the initiative to assess relevant packages offered by the government and determine how we can assist and support you through this difficult time. So if we think about this scam that's going on with coronavirus, and don't think that I'm taking the piss out of it too much, because people will get sick and people will die. Am I saying that there's no such thing as a coronavirus or Corona scam, whatever they want to call it, Corona scam 19? There is a real threat that people are getting sick and things happening which are ungodly. However, looking at where we're at in this cycle, it's very interesting to see that we've had two stimulus packages and we haven't even seen businesses close up yet. So with the first day where we've seen some closing happening, we've seen restaurants that are doing it tough, we've seen a lot of people in events, in different types of businesses, which are suffering a lot. And if you are in one of those businesses, I'm in the financial services industry. I do own a lot of businesses myself. If you do need a shoulder to cry on, or someone to converse with outside of property, feel free to reach out. And obviously I can't help on every aspect, but if there's some way that I can help you out, if just a chat or a bit of a strategy to push you into the right direction, or be able to take advantage of the time that we're in at the moment instead of getting hurt, humbled to do so. So with it, we've got two stimulus packages within a week, right? By none of my wildest fucking dreams would I have seen that we would see some guy in the back of China in some fucking town we've never heard of beforehand eating a fucking bat and then the world on scare, right? If we look at the reality of it is, we saw a lot of you were asking me last year, Nathan, you said the GFD would hit, hence the GFD shirt would hit by now. Why hasn't it hit? And it was in September last year, September 11 of all days. We saw the New York Fed start injecting liquidity. They were pumping the market up. And if we go out there, I posted this in the Birchfeed a little while ago. If you're not on Birchfeed, you need to get on Birchfeed. I think there's a lot of people from Birchfeed. The subscriptions get grown up. I'm giving it for free to people at the moment. But I did post it on Birchfeed a few days ago about all the companies where the CEOs had resigned. So you'd have to go and check out the list. I'll put it up there again after this video so you can relate back to it. I'll post the article of how many people and what sort of directors have left. But one thing to understand is these companies, directors of the company, CEOs of these big companies get a golden parachute if they leave and there's high performance. It's like as if someone had put their foot in the door, left the door open, and fucking pushed all their mates out, right? Because there is so many companies which have had the CEOs resigning since September to now, and it's unprecedented amounts of people. Just goes to show how manipulated this fucking system is. But we are, not even into, a week of the Corona scam. And of businesses closing down, and being self-isolated. People haven't even been forced to be in their houses yet. which I think will happen. This is going to put a lot of fear into the markets. It's going to put a lot of volatility out there, and also opportunity. Looking at the two stimulus packages, the first one for businesses offered a stimulus of it was up to $25,000 per entity that was eligible, which is in a format of a tax lien or rebate. They've come out and said it's up to $100,000 now with a minimum of $20,000 per business. If you've got a business, I don't know what's happening in my screen. If you've got a business and you're employing staff or not even employing staff, there's lots of variables in this. And this could be an opportunity for businesses out there where people are in trouble to either help out, their staff and survive throughout this period. It's also an opportunity for people to help out other businesses where people are doing it tough. And even say if you had an insolvent company and you're taking that insolvent company over potentially at the moment, you would be granted a green light of amnesty to run a business insolvent and not be thrown in the cage in a different type of lockdown with bars. However, the upside to that is that these companies will continuously get stimulus packages. This is a week in, and we've seen two stimulus packages. We're going to see a third and a fourth stimulus package. In my opinion, this week we'll see one around the tenants being able to get their rent covered, because we're going to have a big problem with homelessness. We're going to have a lot of defaults. Now it's much harder for people to go bankrupt. With these stimulus packages, they're constantly evolving and getting new stuff. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at this stuff. And this is exactly what I would have predicted for the GFD, but I just wouldn't have predicted some fucking Asian dude eating a bat, as I keep reiterating. There's nothing wrong with that. I was on the phone doing a review session. I didn't have time today to eat, so I went to the Chinese restaurant. The place was absolutely fucking closed. And as I said to my chap on the phone today, is that I'm either very ballsy or I'm not that concerned about it, and went to the Chinese shop to support them, because there's small independent family businesses that try and get ahead, and they're getting slaughtered at the moment. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. I see comments here and lots of cool love going around. So I hope everyone's doing all right. So just getting back to Ridwan's letter to all of our clients at OnePath, especially those with businesses, is we're trying to help out businesses stay solvent during this time and keep the businesses afloat, as well as being able to help them grow and thrive in this period of time. Because let me tell you, as you may imagine, like, I'm trying to hold my excitement back because there's a lot of people hurting at the moment, and I'm being very mellow. But from our side, like, things are great, and I know a lot of people with businesses that are doing great things, and this is a great time and a great opportunity, and you should never let a great crisis go to waste. I saw this crisis come, planned for it, been waiting for this day. I just didn't picture it as being so dire and so sort of martial law on that front. So support for businesses to manage cash flow challenges. The following measures will be provided. Package 1, boost cash flow for employers. Package 2, increasing instant asset write-off. Package 3, backing business investment. Package 1, boosting cash flow for your business. The government is now providing up to $100,000 to eligible small and medium-sized businesses and not-for-profits that employ people with a minimum payment of $20,000. So if you've got a business, there's some small fine print there. Basically, how would they pay this money out to businesses? Do they go and track down each business and interview them and find out and do a means test, or do they do something that's very streamlined that they can affect straight away and immediately? This seems very severe and will be shaking up a lot of markets. So basically, they've gone for people that have BAS and that are employing staff. So on your staff IAS, which is your quarterly income statements for your staff, where you have to pay income tax for your staff, they'll be going off that, and they'll be giving cash grants. It's a bit unsaid. Ridwan told me that there should be a figure that's taken off your tax debt. I, for some reason, maybe I'm telling myself something, I'm like, is it going to be cash? Because that'd be really cool, right? Like I've got dozens and dozens of businesses that would conform to and comply with the requirements of that. So it'd be very fruitful, possibly, if that was the case. But yeah, there's lots of intricate details that we need to find out. If your accountant is not on top of this stuff for you, if your business advisors are not on top of this stuff for you, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a message. I will connect you with the right people. Ridwan being one of those people for the team, for your business. It's very important that you've got the right advisor, especially in a time like now. Under the enhanced scheme, eligible business will receive a payment of equal to 100% of their tax withheld on salaries, up from 50%, with the maximum payment being increased from $25,000 to $50,000, with the minimum payment being increased from $2,000 to $10,000. In addition, full payment is also being introduced in the July to October 2020 period. This is a supplementary payment. Therefore, eligible entities will receive at least $20,000 up to a total of $100,000 under both payments. The cash flow boost provides tax-free payment to businesses and is automatically calculated by the ATO. No new forms required. Eligibility is your business was established prior to 12th of March 2020 and you employ workers. This is based on the prior year's turnover. Eligibility, additional payment, meet criteria set out in payment 1. Your entity is still active in June 2020, July 2020, August 2020, and September 2020. Timing and delivery of payments. The payment will be delivered by the ATO as an automatic credit in your BAS. PAYG withheld on any salaries or wages will be credited up to $50,000 across 2 quarters. If you are not required to withhold tax and pay employee salary and wages, you are entitled to receive a minimum payment of $10,000. Payment 2, for monthly activity statements lodges, the additional payments to be delivered as an automatic credit, and for quarterly activity statement lodges, the additional payments will be delivered as an automatic credit. Package 2, increasing the instant asset write-off. This is obviously to help stimulate people to spend in business. The instant asset write-off threshold is proposed to be increased from $30,000 to $150,000, and the eligibility will be expanded to include all businesses with the aggregate turnover less than $500 million. The businesses will be able to immediately deduct purchase of eligible assets, each costing less than $150,000, applied per asset basis. Eligible business can immediately write off multiple assets. Then I'm just trying to get it up here. Package 3, backing business investment. The government introducing a timed limited 15-month investment incentive to support business investment and economic growth over the short term by accelerating depreciation assets. Deduction of 50% of the cost of eligible asset of installation with the existing depreciation rules. Eligibility, operate the business in aggregate turnover below $500 million. Purchasing certain new depreciable assets. Timing applies to eligible assets acquired after the announcement on the 12th of March and first used or installed by the 30th of June 2021. So how can you contact Ridwan to find out more about how we can help you and help with your business in this time? You can contact the office by calling, which is 902 955 1214. You can email him on a whole lot of emails here. You can have video conference meetings. You can meet him in person at our Bale main office or our Norwest office. But yeah, if you want to have a chat to Ridwan, who is from One Path Accountants, which is my trusty accountant, would pay to just have a bit of a chat. Looking at, we've got a lot of questions, lots of comments, and I will get to that shortly. I want to talk about a few other things. There was Centrelink payments, which are up from up to $1,100 a fortnight, so that's $550 extra per fortnight. I went out today, and I always have a trusty friend, right? And this thing here is a nice baseball bat. It's a genuine Louisville Slugger. It's a 36-incher. It's got a black handle. It's a beauty, right? beauty. I've taken these things to very ugly areas beforehand, just for protection. Just sort of show I'm sitting at my desk here. But I went out this morning because I lost my one. I don't know where it went, but yeah, it didn't break. That's the good news. It didn't break, but I just went out and bought one because crazy times ahead and whatnot. And yeah, with it, and I don't promote violence. It's just it's always there, good to have access to something. And when I went to the Rebel Sport, I went past. I was in Rouse Hill in northwestern Sydney. And there's the Mean Fiddler, if those of you that know the Mean Fiddler. And I didn't even know there's like a Medicare Centrelink looking place. And I was like, what the fuck are all these people doing out the front of this place? And I remember speaking to one of my senior staff in my business, and he was talking to me about India and back at home. And when job interviews occur, and there's like 1,000 people, they line up all the way down the street. Well, this morning, let me fucking tell you, in northwestern Sydney, I'm talking Kellyville, Rouse Hill, there was lines of people all the way down fucking the road, all the way around the Mean Fiddler, waiting for Centrelink. And this stuff's only getting started, right? Like I talked about a thing a week ago called a UBI, which wasn't an STD. It was universal basic income. Everyone's going to get Centrelink, guys. Everyone's going to get Centrelink. And this is something that it will have impacts in people's lives. There is great opportunity. I've never been so excited from the amount of opportunity. I've never been so busy. I've never had so much cool opportunities, never seen so much. I've seen from all different fronts. However, there is people there that are sort of going to struggle, and we need to be around and support those people. If you know someone's in a business that is struggling, how can you help them? Are you there for them on a mental capacity to be able to chat to them and give them an arm of support, however you can help them. So just be aware people will be losing jobs. We'll see massive unemployment. We're going to see a full lockdown, and things are going to get crazy out there. But what the ramification is only one outcome for how this can end up. Right? We're in a deflationary period, guys. There's no hiding it. Expected it, and that's the exciting part. Deflationary period, things are on sale out there. If we look at businesses, they're not all going to survive. If you look at the stock market, they're not all going to survive, right? I think about it and think, imagine if TikTok had shares, that would go nuts, right? Imagine if Zoom calls had listed on the stock market, it's going to go nuts. Afterpay and ZipPay, they're going to be fucking bailed out, guys. That's government stimulus that's already been here for 2 years ago. It's like Afterpay for stimulus, right? That's something that no one even fucking thought about, right? These things are going to get bailed out. If we look at movie cinemas, they're probably all going to go bankrupt, right? They're probably not the greatest investment. If we look at, some tech-based, Skype is probably going to go nuts. Some online retailers might go nuts. Some Uber, for example, I don't know, might not be so good when there's no one out there driving around the cars. I'm sure they're all going to get great stimulus packages that are going to come from the government. Or when I say government, sorry, I mean the central banks, the government's boss. Because we've all seen Scott Morrison's video last night where he looked like he had a fucking hand up his ass, given that speech. It was like, oh yeah, right, and that's something that we're going to see more of. So there's things that you can buy on sale. There's going to be great opportunities out of this. Look at it from all perspectives, guys. Don't just be out there hoarding toilet paper. I'm fucking hoarding assets, right? Whilst most people are fucking worrying about how to wipe their ass, I'm trying to wipe the fucking chessboard down and capitalise on this market. And it's exciting to see other people out there doing so as well. Looking at what's happening in the property market, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about property here. Property market has gone nuts, guys. I cannot even explain. We've got the share market that's dropped about 40% in about a month. And if you're asking me, this is my non-financial advice. I think shares are good value at the moment. Am I buying anything? I still own zero. I've got my trading platforms ready to hit some orders to get them coming in. I will be buying some soon. You're going to ask me what shares I'm going to buy. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to purchase. However, I think we're going to have a second wave of impact, and that impact that's going to come through over the course of the next 6 months. A lot of reporting from these companies will not flow through until September, October this year. And as we start seeing companies that are trading insolvent, trading in the red, that are in very big, dire sort of situations, that's without anyone losing their jobs, no one fucking losing their business, no bankruptcies, all that sort of stuff. We'll start seeing these companies reporting on that, and then we'll see a second wave of companies collapsing and crashing, and that's when the stock markets will most likely take the second impact. However, this isn't a problem. Like, a lot of people feel, this is very raw, I've lost my job, my business turned to shit, whatever. There's a lot of stimulus that has to prop this up, guys. I cannot even explain this. People's lives in 5 years' time will be very different than what they are right now, financially. And some people will lose out on this. Some people that are very good people, that do good things, right, will be hurt. There'll be some people that will do very well out of it, right? And that's just a market, right? And from that perspective, there's going to be lots of stimulus in the market. So if you're struggling with tough times at the moment, it doesn't mean that you're struggling alone. There's a whole nation of people and a whole world. This is something, the reason why it's called the GFD, Global Financial Depression, is that we're not going to go through it alone. This is not an Australian thing. This is not a US thing. This is not an England thing. This is not a China thing. And it certainly wasn't a fucking guy in the back of China eating a fucking bat that caused this to occur. So, rest assured that there's going to be a lot of stimulus coming through these markets, and a lot of people will be doing great things with that. One other stimulus measure, and this one here, I hope you're fucking watching, and if you're watching, just make sure you don't leave this video for the next 2 minutes. A lot of people are asking me, Nathan, I can get money out of my super fund now, and by no means this is any means of financial advice. I don't know much about it. I do run a financial planning business. I can help you out with that perspective and put you in contact with the right people. However, there is a new stimulus package which was introduced yesterday, which is explaining how people can take out $10,000 out of their super fund now and $10,000 out of their super fund in like the next financial year. So technically you can get 10 grand out of your super and 10 grand out of your super in 2 months' time. And I've been having a lot of people write in to me saying, hey, look, I can get 20 grand in the next 2 months. My missus, she can get 20 grand in the next 2 months. There's 40 grand. Can we buy a property? And my answer is, I'm not a financial advisor and I cannot give you financial advice. However, people are asking me these questions of how can they access their super money, what's left of it, that is. I've never thought I could buy a fucking house before, right? Never thought I could get into a property, right? People overnight are allowed to get access to 40 grand, which could have been a year or 2 years worth of savings for them. And they're asking these questions, and they're good questions to ask. What can you do with that? I don't know. Speak to a financial advisor. Is that the best thing for you? Is it not? If you do have questions, whether you could use those grants potentially, getting 40,000, combining, like getting 20 grand from yourself and 20 grand from a spouse or 20 grand from a sibling or whatever the case may be, smashing it together, and there's a deposit for a property. If you need to speak to someone, I have access to the people that you can speak to and that can give you the right feedback and guidance to overcome that question. So just interesting out there. So property management. Right? I'm going to do some videos on this stuff, and I'm not even going to do lives. I'm just going to do videos, so they're very short, a 5-minute sort of video or whatnot. But property management, what happens if my tenants don't pay their rents, right? We're going to see a stimulus package coming for that. We're already seeing the wages covered, business is covered. We haven't seen the tenant's household. We're going to see homelessness if this doesn't occur. Tenants have a duty to pay their rent on a contractual basis, right? That can be affected from every real estate agent. The government has to step in, or the central banks have to step in and say to their middle management, Mr. Scott Morrison, can you go and be our bitch and go out there and give everyone some free money? And they're going to have to come out and stimulate that market. So, questions I have and some very important points that landlords should know, especially at this time. Do you have landlord insurance? If your property is managed via my firm at Blink Property, 98, 99%, everyone should have insurance. Like when we sign up, it's an in-house procedure to make sure that people have insurance on their property. Some people may not pay it. Some people might go, fuck, I don't need this. Right now, landlord insurance is very important. If you don't have it, get it sorted before your rent starts falling behind, because once it's behind, they will not cover rent loss. 2, what is your property manager doing throughout this time? How are they addressing arrears? How are they addressing the arrears on the property? How is your real estate agent? Is your real estate agent open? What sort of technology does your real estate agent have? For example, at Blink, we've implemented some process and procedures. A lot of our staff are out on the road and in the field. Nothing will change on that perspective. Showing a property, it may be a little bit different. If we can't have people, like if you guys can't come and be in contact with another human, and you don't want to go into a property, is your real estate agent going through the properties and doing online showings, right? So one of the things we've been testing, we've got the technology certainly now to be able to walk through and do an open home as a Facebook Live, for example, and be able to get that audience to be able to lease a property. We're in contact with government agencies for relief centres and whatnot to try and take up vacant properties. If your house is vacant at the moment, it could be vacant for many months to come. What is your agent doing about that? These are some things that are really touchy subjects that need to be addressed and discussed. But I see a lot of stimulus coming, guys. So don't freak out. It's a time where people can lose their shit, become very disorientated, and be like, "Fuck," like the whole world's fucked, and have depression or whatever else, mental health wise or whatever could occur. But it's important to remain, diligent with your decisions and your emotions, and keep things in perspective. So that's something that's very important. If you need help on that, flick me a message, and I can help out from managing those properties for you. So I thought about it with the mortgage freeze, right? And this isn't advice. This is just my own personal thoughts. I pay about $100,000 per month in mortgage interest. It's a fair bit of money, but it is what it is. If I could take that $100,000 a month and save it over 6 months, that would be $600,000 that I could possibly be saving in a hypothetical scenario. $600,000 is a lot of money to go and invest in a market which is, very damaged. So, for me personally, everybody's position is different. Is this mortgage holiday scenario good for everybody? No. Is it something some people will be taking advantage of? Yes. Is it financially better to do it now or not? That's a choice that you've got to make financially. For me, I'm personally going to look into it and explore the options. So if one of my lenders watching this, get ready for a phone call from me over the course of the next couple of weeks when I can find the time to freeze my mortgages so that I can consume capital at this point in time and be able to reinvest into other sort of assets. That's my personal thoughts on it. A lot of people are saying, job security, I don't know what's going to happen with job security at the moment. I'm not too comfortable doing stuff. What should I do? I think a lot of people need to realise what the market is that we're working with. First and foremost, a lot of people will lose their jobs, but there will be a lot of stimulus. The government will be paying most of our rents in 6 months. The government will be paying our wages in 6 months. They're already starting to. Right? We're 1 week in. We're not first day. We're the first 12 hours of shutdown happening right at the moment. And we've already seen 2 stimulus packages. And this is only the start of it, guys. We're going to be in the trillions of dollars here in Australia. Trillions of dollars, trillions with a fucking T worth of stimulus that's going to be coming through. What's going to happen after we get all this stimulus to fix up this calamity that we've got at the moment? It's going to resort in the biggest boom run of everything in our lifetime, but it's also going to end up in a hyperinflation. Hyperinflation will not occur overnight. Hyperinflation, we're in a deflationary phase, so people are fearful of money, people are fearful of spending, people are fearful of their future, so it will cause things to go flat. You're going to have to inject so much money into the system so people feel confident again. When they start spending out money, people will not want to hold on to that money, and they will want to dispose of that money by buying assets. And when all that money comes back out into the system, that's when we're going to see, boom, hyperinflation. And that could be a year, 2 years, 3 years. I think it's probably another 3 to 5 years, but once again, I never would have thought that I'd blame this on a fucking bat in the back of China. So what is happening in the property market at the moment? We've got shares, as I was saying before, in shares down 40% in a month. We've seen currencies get ripped to threads. We've got lots of volatile markets out there, but I've never seen property fall off a cliff like this. And it's not, I lost 30 properties over the course of the last week and a half due to the fact of people coming in and paying much more money for those properties. So there's a lot of people pulling their money out of supers. There's a lot of people trying to get rid of that money out of their bank account and putting that into other fixed assets. And property is one where you've got 0% interest rates, guys. We're at fucking 0.25%. We're at 0.25% interest rate at the moment. Right? This is fucking unprecedented. Only way for this to change is for it to go to 0 and then go to -1, -2, -3. My thoughts of this whole system is a point at -2 to -3% at the RBA. That's where I see it going to. And, it's a very interesting scenario at a negative interest rate or at a 0% interest rate. It's basically free money. The banks are paying you to take money away, and you are buying assets whilst they are very cheap. And then we're going to see massive inflation when everyone starts being excited about property again and being excited about spending money and going out to their favourite restaurant and going out on a holiday with their missus, whatever the case may be. We will start seeing a lot of liquidity go into these markets, and we'll see the biggest boom that any of us have seen in our whole entire life or could even fathom as being possible. And that's what I expect to see. So for me at the moment, I'm looking for opportunity whilst assets are sitting on sale, whilst, am I a predator walking the streets looking for an opportunity? Quite possibly I am. Is there anything wrong with that? Probably, maybe not. I don't know, right? But I've been buying properties for the last 20 years. If the market went down and I, fell on a sword, well, then I'd have people say, "Ha ha, sucked in," which I've tried to over the years. And so if people want to brand whatever, but there's a market out there. There's people that want to sell, and the market is holding up very, very strong. The market is booming. I'd be on the borderline of saying it's a boom that we're going through at this point in time. Most people are scared. We are heading into a boom phase. The other thing to be aware of in the property market is that as of, and this is for the finance market as well, as of next week, and one of the things that the government has done, that they've been, Big Daddy over here, the central bank, has told little bitch government to give money to everybody, hand out, all our stash of fake money and whatever. But the other thing that they've done is they've wound back APRA changes, and that's probably the most important thing to understand, is that in 2016, APRA fucking tightened up the market and caused the property market to, in better words, collapse. And prices, that's where the peak of the market, and that fell off a bit, and we've seen it flattening out, but now we've pushed up by taking away the APRA, meaning that serviceability coming out from next week will change a lot for people. So people that couldn't afford a property going back, last week, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, most likely will be able to afford to service, because the barrier to entry into the property market is much greater now. There's incentives to buy property now. People are all stuck in their property. They've got nothing else to do. All other financial markets around the world are collapsing, and the property market is very propped up. If we look back in the GFC, I had some fuckwit on here the other week trying to tell me to pull out stats and stuff, which I didn't really enjoy, so I was just, but if we pull out some stats, and you do want to go look at some numbers, whilst most of you are probably going to be on lockdown like the rest of us in the coming days, go and look at the RBA sort of website and where interest rates have been over the course of the last 10, 20, 30 years. And you will see that interest rates in about September 2007 dropped from 7.25% all the way down to 3% within a period of 5 months. So someone could service on a 60 grand salary for a 300 grand property beforehand. And suddenly when interest rates fell, some tweaking at the back end of the banks, boom, those properties were at 300, went to 650 because access to the funds, those same people with those same wages of 60 grand could go all the way up to 600 grand because access to the cash was much easier. And as we see that occur, these are the things that, your fucking gurus in the media and all the bullshit artists out there with these little charts and stuff like that won't get a chance to see, because being out there in the market, finger on the pulse, seeing what's happening, that's what's happening, guys. There's also, one of the other things to mention back for the business aspect, for those of you that are in business, have had people ask me the question of $250,000 business loans. The government has said that they will do $250,000 loans for small to medium businesses to help them get afloat throughout the time. People have asked me, can I get that 250 grand and use that money to do whatever? Well, it's up to you guys what you do with that money. But if you do have a business and you do have the ability to get access to the funding and you do choose to do stuff with it, there's going to be all this new money that's going to be injected into the system. It's going to find its way. It's going to, at the end of the day, to all the people that have got the cafes and those businesses that are in trouble, door-to-door retail, fixed shop sort of retail, all that sort of stuff, people with all the overheads, it might be a burden at the moment, but when you come through this other end, there's going to be a whole round of money that's going to find a way. It's going to find its way. I went to JB Hi-Fi. I'm on my way to find my baseball bat this morning. I went to go find a new MacBook, and it was fucking hard to find a MacBook. I haven't got one yet. I've still got my shitty one here with the screen that's half broken off it. But with it, what's going to happen? Like when all people have got all this money, they've been locked at home. Every week they're copping $1,000 here or there. All the businesses have got all this money. It's injected, and the people are like, wow, I want to go buy a new laptop. I want to go get my eyebrows done because I haven't had a chance to because I couldn't get out of the house. All this money is going to flow back through the system. So just be thoughtful of that for in the future as well. One thing to note on the super front, for those of you that have been asking me what should I do with my super and me not being able to answer that question for you, is I can put you in contact with the right people that are around my business. Two, these stimulus packages of everyone pulling their money out of the super, I think it's really bad and really poor form too of them to allow that, because in essence we're going to see the stock market potentially get hit a lot more as people are pulling liquidity, because everyone's going to go and take 10 grand out of their super. Everyone's getting a free 10 grand in their own mind because money's getting ripped out of the super and whatnot. That's going to have an impact to super funds, not specifically, but more so to what they're invested into. So all different types of financial instruments, derivatives, bonds, into stocks, shares, whatever sort of funds are into. So, that's my thoughts just at the moment. mentioning that, one important thing, a lot of people have been asking about the Birch feed. Flick me an email. If you do want to get on Birch feed, flick an email over to me, flick a message, a DM on here, and I will get my team to add you into the Birch feed for free. I put all random shit in there. Today I put something about Madonna, which was very satanic. Put different stuff, mostly around finance. And when I put weird stuff in there, it is just to highlight the fact that you're being fed a lie and you're living in the matrix from the media. The media is a propaganda outlet. If you think Facebook's your friend, it's not. It's there to control your life. It's got a name called the FBI book. But yeah, with it, if you want to get access to it, feel free to reach out to myself, my team, and I'll get you added in there very quickly so you can sort of see some of the information of what I'm looking at, to come up with my own decisions, to have direction on how to navigate into different realms and different avenues of thinking, rather than being brainwashed by some dude that's allegedly eating a fucking bat in China. I just keep coming back to that. My mate Bo's over there and he's like laughing because he's an excited sort of guy. But I'm going to get into some of your questions here. But as I said, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos and doing a lot more Facebook Lives if there is some sort of lockdown, because then I won't have to deal with all of my staff needing me on a day-to-day basis there at home doing their work and performing for you guys, part of the community, to make sure your finances are coming through. And that one last thing as well is with finance, that just do remember, if we're in a lockdown and you're trying to get access to funds or you're trying to refinance your properties, my team will be working to make your finance happen. But what we've got to remember is the banks aren't run from Australia. The banks are run from India, the Philippines, and all different countries around the world. A lot of these places are in lockdown at the moment. There's a lot of chaos going on. So there is some very large time delays. So just be aware that, things may not happen like they used to and will be clunkier than before. But I'll be doing videos on finance. I'll be doing some reno videos. I'm allowed to go to my house, aren't I? Well, I've got lots of them that I'm going to be going to. So on the way to the shops to get some medical supplies. But with it, I'll be doing videos on renos, finance, what markets are doing what other sort of financial instruments I will be investing into, what's happening in shares, stock markets and whatnot. I'll be talking a lot about property management, nurturing your portfolio, as well as what will come after this system does gradually collapse. And I think here I've got a question from Josh. How long do you think until inflation starts to steeply rise? We are in deflation, guys. I'm talking about inflation and I'm talking about hyperinflation to occur later on. I've been talking about hyperinflation. I remember when people say, Nathan, you're off your fucking head. Why are you talking about hyperinflation? You're fucking nuts. We're in a property collapse. No, right? We're going into hyperinflation. We're not going to be in hyperinflation today or tomorrow. We're in a deflation at the moment, and that's why we're going to keep seeing this money. When you think that the market is, when you will start seeing inflation, and high inflation is when they stop injecting the money. When they start increasing interest rates, when they start doing that, that's when we know that we're sort of seeing too much of that money trickle out. And they don't have many levers. Like, have you ever driven a car and you can, turn the steering wheel a little bit and it like goes, woo, right? And sometimes you fucking turn the steering wheel and you're trying to get in a direction. In this market, the levers that are being pulled via central banks, i.e. the government's boss, when they're moving this, back in the day they'd have to go, fucking let's turn this thing, right? And now it's like got so much power steering that they turn a little bit and things go and like fucking fly off the road like it's run over a banana peel on Mario Kart. And that is the market we're at. It's going to be very volatile. I think we will continue to see spikes going off until the money collapses. We may see instead of seeing a 10 years to a recession, we might see 2 years and it'll go like recession, non-recession, recession, non-recession. We might see a lot of volatility until the dollar collapses. But this next decade is going to be very exciting. Think after this Corona scam, think after fucking taken martial law away from people, and yeah. So yeah, with it, a lot of people saying that they can't log onto this video. It's got an error while loading. Should I access my super now? Why is this not loading? Um, that's one other thing, guys. Everyone's at home watching fucking porn, watching Netflix, whatever, working from home. You've got nothing else to do, so you're going to log in to the matrix. You're going to be watching some shit in the online, and there's a lot of people looking for answers online, and probably internet may collapse at some point. Some of my techie mates have come in and told me that the internet could hit a point where it just shits itself for a few days, or go offline. So with it, yeah, it could be that. So hopefully you can watch this afterwards. I'm getting people asking, can I help them refinance their mortgages? That's what I'm specialised in at B.Invested and Senior Finance. We help people structure their finance on their property portfolios. A lot of people think, Nathan is a buyer's agent. Yes, I was like the third buyer's agent in the country. They sort of built this industry. However, operate very different than every other buyer's agent that watches some program for 2 days and suddenly there's some expert. Sorry, shit pops up on my screen and I'm trying to get rid of it. It says, do you want to leave this page? It'd be ugly if I left the page right now. But I do help people with structuring their finance, structuring their financial affairs. One thing someone said to me the other day, right? Just make sure that your community. I own a law firm. A lot of people may or may not know. I founded a law firm with a very, very good lawyer. I've dealt with hundreds of lawyers over the years. And the best lawyer that I've ever come across when it comes to any sort of property or family estate sort of matters is a guy by the name of Stephen Sidorowski, who partnered with a firm called Zenith Legal going back about 8 years ago now. And, people might say in Erie, should talk to a lawyer at this point, maybe via a phone or via a Skype. Make sure you have your shit in place, right? What happens if someone does sort of not make it? What happens to the affairs? What happens to your finances? What happens to your children? What happens to your super? All these sorts of things. So lots of ways that I can help people. If it's just a chat, I try and be as available as possible. I try to give another way of reasoning than some fucking idiot talking in some manipulated propaganda outlet being the news, and give you reason behind thoughts that I research a lot, which you can find on BirdFeed, which is free. So yeah, if I can be of assistance to anyone that's going through some sort of hardship at the moment, or point you in contact with the right people that can help you, whether it's just a chat with someone, happy to help out wherever I can. So this is a time which I would never have seen where we're at today occur, but we're here, which we predicted from a financial aspect. But yeah, looking at a few of your questions, there's so much I haven't yet, but I will get to them shortly. Where is the toilet paper? I swapped the toilet paper for a bat today. Someone tries to come for my toilet paper. Normally I keep this when I go to rough areas, but who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, toilet paper, no toilet paper today. Nick, should I access my super? Everybody's position is different. I'd be very reckless to say anything like that. Plus, I'm not a financial advisor. But flick a message through and see what I can do and get the advice for you, Steve. Mine says error while loading, but can read the comments. Anyone else having issues? I hope everyone can see this. Jonathan, do you self-manage your super and buy property in it? Personally, my super fund is a self-managed super fund. I have all different types of assets in my position. It doesn't need to be just property, but let me tell you, this is something everybody here should be asking themselves. How much money did I have in my super fund a month ago? How much money do I have in my super fund now? If it is less, who do you deal with at your super fund? What did they do to help you? Where is my money invested? A lot of people say it's invested in the stocks, it's invested in the shares. Well, where are those shares? Where is the property inside your super fund? Who is the person I'm dealing with? Why didn't they protect me, right? If you can't see it, we've all seen Wolf of Wall Street. That's what happens out there in financial markets. It's important for you to take care of your own personal assets. So that's why I like self-managed super fund, but it's not right for everybody, and it's important you get that right advice. Andrew, how the hell did you predict legend? You shouldn't even be doing these things. I just like saying things as they are. I try and fit as much time as I can for the community to be able to provide my updates. There was a 5-part webinar series. If you guys have a bit of time during this lockdown period, it's about 8 hours worth of video content. I did 5 webinars going back in 2017, 2018, which was just free. I was talking to everybody. People said I was a fucking idiot. People unsubscribed from my mailing list. People thought I was on drugs. People thought fucking whatever they thought was going through their head. I grew a beard. It's because chicks said beards look cool, right? Like I thought, fuck, I'll add 10 years of my life and grow a beard that's full of grey. But, people thought that I was Jim Carrey, fucking losing it. But the thing is that those videos, I actually talked about what would happen today. From those videos, I encourage you to go and have a look at them, because there's a lot of answers, a lot of things that you go, fuck, how did this happen? Like, how did we didn't see it, right? It's out there. That's free to watch on YouTube. And there was a mentoring program that I did, which I talked about this every week, walking up to this. This mentoring program finished in June last year, and it's all there as well that people can get access to. I might do a lockdown special on that. So, but yeah, thanks, Andrew. Hope you're doing well anyway as well. Wow, I'm seeing so many people saying they're having errors. I don't know what's going on. I apologise. Facebook's not letting me watch your live feed. Maybe it's censored, right? Maybe, wow. There's stuff getting censored. Like maybe I'm swearing too much. Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. Maybe people don't want to hear it. Who knows what it is, but there's some weird stuff going on there. Has anyone realised that WhatsApp, whoever used WhatsApp, that their WhatsApp has recently changed to say Facebook on it? Like, there's a lot of stuff happening that's weird at the moment. Property is doomed. We're all open to our opinion. I'm seeing otherwise. There could be a rocky road in time to come for property, but at this point in time, I'm seeing there's a great opportunity out there. I think you've been censored. I can't log in, saying error. Wow. This is painful. Will not let me load this live. Surely it's not capped to 500 people. Wow, maybe it is capped to 500 people. I don't know. Government shut your live feed. Wow. I'm pretty sure I'll be buying shares in the next month or two. Can you try to convince me to buy property instead, Todd? I can't convince you to do anything. You got to do what's right for you. Government onto me, mate. You're such a nice bloke to do that. Just a person to chat to in times. Thanks, mate. How do you get onto the Birch feed? If you want to get on Birch feed, flick a message over, private message, or send an email to the email address in the description, and I'll get my team to hook you up. Fuck, it wasn't just me. The government have shut Birchie down for letting too many secrets out. I'm the same. Can you get me on Birch feed? Look, guys, Birch feed's actually a safe place, right? I put a lot of stuff out into that. If you ever see that I don't post stuff out there, I'm either fucking dead, someone's come and fucking done something with his bat and I've had to use it, or someone's tried to censor it. That over in Birch feed, it cannot be censored. We've got each other's contact details. We can, you can interact and stuff like that. Melissa, am I the only one that can still hear this live? I don't know how many people's on here. Good to see you still have a shirt, Nathan. Thanks, mate. I can still see the feed. I can hear and see. I can see and hear for those of you who are asking. Strange, lots of people can't see or hear. Comes up with error and loading, etc. I hope they can throw the kitchen sink at me and nothing else so far. Just tuned in, Nathan, trying to decide if to sell some properties up in Townsville. On a positive note, we have some new guests. That's cool. Audience has been living to 3 people to stop the spreading of corona scam. This guy's just done for our best interest. Should listen to it right now. Business part. I'm getting an error. Hoytsimers went into voluntary administration today. The GFD shirt, love it. Thanks, guys. I got it as a gift for my birthday last year. Josh, what's your thoughts on our super? Should it bounce back? Best not to pull out if you don't have to. Well, here's something on super. People that were in the GFC, I remember in the GFC that just seeing people message me now, it's popping up on my screen. Thanks for the shout outs, guys. But with the super, what can we do with super? In the GFC, I remember people that had like 700 grand, 800 grand in their super, went down to like 350. People that were ready to retire, I mean. So their retirement got pushed back and whatnot. 2-3 years afterwards, their retirement fund looked back and they go, oh, wow, it's back to like 700,000 again. Everyone's like, great, we can go retire. Only problem is that when it was at 350,000, that was where the real market was at. When it went back to $700,000, Big Mac meals have gone up from $5 to $10. Paddle pops have gone up from 80 cents to $2.40. Cost of everything is rising. It's not that the product or the asset is rising in value. The assets never rise in value. It's the money that you're buying it with has lost its value. When you get your head around that, there's a paradigm shift. What's your thoughts on super is the question. Everybody's position is different. For me, it's a marginal part of my position, and I just look at it as just some shitty property portfolio that I can't touch until I'm 65 years old, and hopefully, I get to see that, and I can, throw a house to each one of my kids when I have them. So yeah, threw super in the bin. Yeah, a lot of people have. Don't you have to meet a criteria of hardship to be able to access or request the mortgage freeze? Yes. Good question, Janine. Do you have to be in a criteria? It's very new. These hardship mortgage freezes. But let me ask you, in a week's time, when everybody's down in lockdown, we will all be affected, right? It's a very sensitive subject. That's why I'm in a very different, jovial, mellow sort of state to talk about, because I do feel that there's lots of energy in me. I'll be like, yeah, fuck the government, I hate on that, but I know there's a lot of people hurting as well. And, in a week's time or a few days' time, this could be a very different place. And, the banks, people are going to be like mental health issues, suicide. I'll say the words, right? Maybe I'll get censored for that. But people will, be in real bad places. It's not the bank's position to ask these questions. They're like, fuck, right? We, as a mortgage holder, are the bank's asset, right? If we fuck up, the bank fucks up. So the property you might feel is a bank's asset, but your energy that you've got to earn for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years as an income to service that debt, that's what the bank has bought as you as the asset. So I don't think they'll ask too many questions. I'll be interested to hear if other people get access to the mortgage hardship. There could be some very strict terms and conditions around it, which I doubt it. Like, they need to pump this money out. They need to fix this fucking problem. People are going to go off a cliff if this isn't fixed, right? The problems, and that's the thing, right? People are so scared today. They're like, oh no, this is really bad, right? But the thing is that if we've got a million loans in a bank and everyone falls over, then it's not just that one bank, right? That's the problem. It's the other 5 banks that are surrounding it that have all got the same assets where all those people blew up in, and then they fall over. And there's only one controller of that. That's the central bank that owns all the banks, it owns all the governments, it owns all the shops, it owns everyone, owns our taxes, owns our asses, and owns all the propaganda outlets, even the one that we're talking on at the moment. So there is more to play here, and I believe that will be protected and cushioned via higher powers to be. Clint, RBA won't pass on the negative rates for anything less than depression. It's called the global financial depression. We are in a depression. They will tell you, no, we're not in a recession. We haven't even fucking locked down yet, right? The Corona scam's only been around for like a month or two. 2 months ago, some guy in China was eating a bat apparently, and now we're in a recession and heading for a depression. Right? This doesn't fucking happen. Less people have died throughout the whole thing around the world than people that probably gotten bitten by fucking a stingray at Bondi Beach in the last 6 months. So, like, for us to be in this position just didn't occur overnight. So we will head into a depression. I'm very confident we are in for some very, very ugly times, guys. It's going to be very ugly. Is it a time to fucking jump out the window? No, it's a time to sit there and go, okay, these are the problems, but these are the opportunities as well. This is like the most exciting. Like, I am very excited for this time. And yes, I have, if we think about problems in the world, right? I've got like 100 staff. I've got all these, different commitments that are in my life that, I've got as a commitment as well. And it's, people have problems, right? Whenever someone has one problem, someone will go, oh God, I can't afford my mortgage, right? Well, I've got fucking 200 of them, right? Things get expanded, but it's looking for the opportunity, right? How will we come out the other side of this? And I saw one of my mates, I don't know who it was, that posted on the Facebook before I got on the live that said, it will be interesting to look back in the revision era of this time to see how people behaved during this time, right? How are you behaving, right? If you have children, right, how are you behaving around your children, right? Like, are you giving them a fear mentality and they're going to learn as a child that, oh, yeah, this is wrong, stress? Or they're going, okay, cool, just fucking calm, eat your food and watch Baby Shark, right? How are we, like, laying down the foundation for the future? Our grandparents would have been affected by the Great Depression in the 20s and the early 30s. There's been revolutions at each and every time of this, and this is just another opportunity in the market. And, just interesting times. I think that we'll see the RBA go severely negative on this. If we look at the US 3-month bonds, I've talked about it, negative yield curves, talked about all the leading indicators to get us to here. And if we look at the 3-month US bond, it's currently negative 0.03%. So it's 3%, 0.3% negative. So 3 basis points negative, right? If that thing keeps going, it will go out. The RBA at this point, when I don't see us poised for another rate cut in the next week, have a 24 hours time, we could see something very different. So will we end up at negative at the banks? I don't know, right? It does seem a bit of a fantasy world. And I don't know. I've never been through a depression, right? But I researched the fuck out of this before we got to where we are today. And, I encourage everybody to, if you've got nothing else to do, go research about this shit. Go look at how people became successful in the depression. Go look at how money works. Go educate yourself on assets, whatever it is. One of the things we're going to do, everyone says I look like a fat fuck at the moment. So I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks beefing up. And people are going to be like, oh, wow, Nathan must be on the roids. And it's like, no, Nathan's just been eating healthier and been spending his time running around and fucking doing some weights and getting himself into shape. What are you going to be doing during this time is the question that I've got. So, Amber, can you add me to the Birch feed? I need you guys to, I can't just add you guys to it. It's run on an application called Telegram. It's a channel in there where I push data to it all the time. So I need you guys to send an email to my office. You can send an email to the one in the address here, or send a message to my team. Need your phone number and your email address, and we'll get you all the details to link you in there. So I want to see how I can help as many people out as possible during this time. So it's free access to Birch Feed. Dylan, if the US closes the market, do you do a lot of money moving to Bitcoin and crypto? I don't see crypto being safe in this market. Crypto was made for a market like this. Basically, looking at this market, Bitcoin was created in the end of GFC. I think it was the 3rd of January 2009 that it was created. I think it will do extremely well after all the stimulus goes out, because as money gets dumped into the market, it's got to find a home. People will look for a safe haven. And if we look at crypto, right, as the Aussie dollar is collapsing, we're seeing the value of things in US dollar terms rise in value. So crypto is not rising in value. It could still be at the same price, but as the Aussie dollar goes down, the value in our Aussie dollar goes up. So it acts as a ballast to the currency. So there are some interesting factors here to play. So Jacob, charge you 250 Q. I don't understand what that is. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. Albert, I'm a bit worried about the tenants not being able to pay the rent. It's a possibility, but if they're getting money dumped from Centrelink every week, that's money that's going to, go into their account, and they have to spend it, and they have an obligation to pay their rent. We have very strict processes in our business. Obviously, if there's some sort of hardship there, we can work with people. However, we are very, I've got people that run debt collection firms and whatnot. Not debt collection firms like this, right? We're not stitches. Give me your money sort of thing. However, we have people that have worked in debt collection, which help nurture people through difficult times to try and combat and help those tenants out for a win-win outcome on both parties. So, Brian, no problem with the live feed here. Thanks. Michael, what is your thoughts on cryptos? I'm very heavily invested in cryptos, and I believe that sorry, I don't have Corona scam, but I've just been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. But I'm very heavily invested in the cryptos, and people can't go bankrupt on Bitcoin. Just remember that, guys. People cannot go bankrupt with Bitcoin. It's a very big difference to the monetary system of what we've got. If everyone used Bitcoin, we wouldn't be in this mess of where we're at the moment. I'm telling you that much. See a great future for them. Am I recommending to buy them at the moment? There's so many opportunities and so many landmines out there. I don't want to give advice on those things because, do with your own, caution. There's been times where I've been very bullish on things, times where I've been very negative. For those of you that have followed me for the last 12 years, some people were saying 3 years ago, Nathan, why are you being so negative? Right? I had other people in the industry going, why are you being so negative? And I just thought that it wasn't the right time, and I saw sort of indicators that were there to lead me to that conclusion. And then I look at the market now, and it's like there is some great opportunities out there. So with it, research the markets, understand the parameters and possible ups and downs of those markets and what can cause that to occur. Todd, what are the RBA doing in April? I don't believe we're going to be heading to a negative interest rate straight away. I think they're going to throw the whole fucking kitchen sink at people. People are going to end up with tenancy sort of injections of liquidity. People are going to be able to defer mortgages. We're going to have the government paying for the mortgage. I believe the government will fucking pay for the mortgage, right? We're going to see business stimulus coming in the marketplace. We're going to see sort of universal basic income coming in. Basically, helicopter money. Sorry, guys. Catching bullshit from the media. Bullshititis. It's called the Corona scam. But no. I shouldn't make fun of these things because people are very sensitive at this point in time. But with the April move, I believe it will be a hold pattern in April. I believe we'll see a lot of stimulus being injected, a lot of stimulus in the next little while. And I think we may see something very drastic, which would be like a 1% negative interest rate. Right? They'll just come out of nowhere and go, fuck, a 1% negative interest rate. And I will tell you, prior to us heading to that day, that we're going to fucking have negative interest rate, like fucking impacts about to hit, imminent fucking death. September 11, right? That's what we're going to see the impact to interest rates, and I will share that with you guys. But I don't think we're going to see it in April. So, Maria, can you add me to the Birch feed? I need you to send an email just for the birch feed. I've covered on that a few points. I've got a comment here from Bala with his email address for the birch feed. If I can just ask that no one puts their private contact details on here. I have a lot of like scammy fucks that are out there in the industry. They're like property scammers, dudes where they have their wife with tattoos on their arms, pose with like stupid stashes and stuff. Got some idiots that try and copy me. I'm the poor kid from Western Sydney, and they love clicking on all of my viewers and try and add you. So just one little thing out there: if you do get random ads from people that are, from certain groups or certain property, this isn't fucking Amway that I provide for you guys. It's not someone trying to scam something from someone. I do not want people to be ripped off in these markets. So just protect your privacy a little bit. It's a safe place when you send it to me, but when you put it out there, I just don't want people ripping your data and trying to contact you and spam you with some properties and shit like that, because there's a lot of, Ramon, should we buy the shit out of property ASAP? Look, I don't think we should jump into property and go, fuck, let's throw everything at it. However, it's a very strong buy at the moment. I think it will do very, very well. We're going to look back at this market and generations to come and go, fuck, interest rates at 0%. Why the fuck did I not take it, right? I was talking to some of my Muslim friends the other day, and one of them goes, it's almost allowed, right? And it's like one of my guys here, and I should get the message up, and he's like, he goes, 0% interest rates, all that, and these criteria, right? We're in a time of unprecedented sort of times out there in the marketplace, and it's, we're going to look back in the future and be like, you could buy a house for under $2 million, and I mean like something we've got for 200 grand at the moment or whatever. House prices could be $20 million, and people would be like, wow, they're so expensive. I remember when they were cheaper. No, you remember when your money had a bit more purchasing ability, right? I remember when I could buy fucking 5 red frogs at Toongabbie Public School in fucking 1990, right? And you could buy those eucalyptus drops, and you could buy those little apricot wrapped in fucking coconut. And my brothers would be like, for 1 cent, I got 10 red frogs, right? And now people will be getting like a fucking red frog for $5, right? and they're fucking this big. Have you ever seen the Allen's ones? Oh, this big. So property will do very well, as will a lot of other assets. But if you do want to have a bit of a strategy, Ramon, flick me an email. Happy to have a chat. So, yeah. Andrew, what is your prediction on the effect of the property market with Corona scam? I work in the finance industry. I covered that a lot in this video. I think we're seeing, like for me personally, I'm seeing unprecedented amounts of people running towards property. Now, I did see very similar thing happen in the GFC. For those of you that may be new, that may just be following me recently, I've been talking so long, I need to have a drink of water. For those of you that are new and haven't been following me for the last 10, 12 years in my public life, I quit my job in 2009 in the middle of the GFC, and I saw this happen before. I saw when I was 13 years old, most of my mates were getting magazines with naked chicks in them. I was getting the fucking magazines with the homes in them, and I saw the pricing, and I was like, yeah, I want to have one of these one day too, right? And looking at that market and going through the early 2000s, boom and bust cycles and stimulus packages that were involved at those periods of times, this is a market where there's a flight to safety from the stock market crashing, share market, like stock market crashing, the supermarket crashing, supermarket and, the supermarket where you buy the toilet rolls from. People looking for somewhere for stability. Interest rates and to 0%. I remember when I said interest rates would go down to 0 and go to negative, and people were like, you're on another fucking planet, Nathan. And they're going, interest rates are going to go up. I calculated that it's physically impossible to have interest rates go up because everyone would go bankrupt. And if you look at the signs of where the hands are being pulled and pushed around, you can see the cracks in between, and you can see the opportunities, right? They have dealt their hand, right? I need everybody to understand this, right? This is the most important thing, is that everyone goes, the government has dealt their hand. Well, the government has dealt their hand. They're like, oh, I'm Mr. Scott Morrison, and I'm trying to do a press conference standing this far away from my health minister, right? That's pretty funny. But it sounded funny in my head anyway. But the thing is that the hand has been dealt from the central banks and those that rule society, right? And these hands have been dealt. They've already given us stimulus and we haven't got a problem yet. Imagine how much stimulus we're going to get when there is a fucking problem. And then when they inject all this stimulus into the market and things start to recover, where's it all going to go? It's going to just flood out into the markets, flood out. It's going to go into cryptocurrency. It's going to go into shares. It's going to go into supers. It's going to go into bonds. It's going to go into property. It's going to go into all different things. But, I like stuff that's got cash flow. Property brings cash flow. People like cash flow. People are going to be quarantined in properties. But the other thing that we haven't even discussed yet this evening is, what about how do we get out of this mess, right? We've given away 10% GDP in 1 week. We're going to see 100%. We're going to see 200% GDP. We're just going to see money getting printed, right? We're going to end up in the biggest deficits the country has ever seen, in the world has ever seen, in debt. And it's going to look like nothing by the end of this. But we're going to need to have more tax slaves, right? We cannot breed tax slaves quick enough. I mean, children to become tax slaves like you and I, that go out and earn money, that are forced to earn money, pay taxes to help minimise and to service this debt. Imagine if interest rates went up, right? Here's a question. If we turn into $1 trillion worth of debt and the interest rate went up by 0.25%, and it's at 0.25% at the moment, right? Let's just say that interest rates are at 0.25% at the RBA. We borrow $1 trillion as a government, and then the RBA put the interest rate up to 0.5%. That means that the debt that we've just injected in the economy has fucking doubled overnight, right? And the budgets are completely smashed out of smithereens, right? That's the market. That's why I know that our currency is completely straight out of luck, fucked. It's dead. The money will die. We will not use $1 in 10 years' time. We will lose our currency over this. And the cool thing about property is debt becomes irrelevant with inflation. So, Gino and Nathan, when will be the best time to buy property during this? How long do you think it will take for the deals to come out? The deals ain't going to come out. It's not the stock market, guys. There might be a few people getting scared, but the market's been pushing forward in a positive upswing since the 4th of June 2019 when the first rate cut occurred. And it's been heating up a lot more of recent times. So I think that, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, guys. Hard to say. But, I believe that we hit a bottom in June last year and the market's taking up from there. Luke, do you think if the loans are frozen, will interest accrue? Very good question, Luke. Yes, if the loans are frozen, if you go on a loan holiday, as per beforehand, if you're just new on here, I read out the Corona scam, I call it the Corona scam because it's just a fucking scam. But the ANZ stimulus package should be a better word to call it. If you do take up these options, this is just ANZ, but there is other sort of financial institutions. All the financial institutions are offering these sort of packages. They have to. Their hands are forced to make that happen, or they will. Imagine if every one of their loans defaulted. That would be fucking insane, right? That would be fucking insane. And I see the next question, Jacob. Any tips on fighting foreclosures? No one's going to get foreclosed upon. I need us to understand this. No one is going to get foreclosed. Maybe a few poor fuckers out of this, right? They are not able to foreclose on people. Bankruptcy rules have changed, right? They changed yesterday, right? It's fantastic. We're all going to get bailed out, right? That's the cool part about it. When everyone gets bailed out, there's not any problems, but it's going to push everything up in value. Everything's going to get inflated. But answering your question, Luke, yes, your loan will still accrue interest, and it will be attached to the end of the loan. So let's say, for instance, your interest is $5,000 this month, and you've got $1 million loan. Your loan will be $1 million, $1,005,000, and then next month it's another $5,000, so it's $1,010,000. It just stacks up. But I believe as we go through this, depending on the depths of it, they could do a stimulus package to pay the mortgages. If everyone forecloses on their properties and the RBA decides, they may come into the banks and bail out all of the loans out of the banks. They may buy up the mortgages. Right? Very fucking serious shit, guys. And we've got to look at the whole chessboard, right? Like, I do deals all the time. I do deals on all different scales, whether they be big business deals, whether they be property deals, whatever the case may be. And I sit there and like, okay, this position is fucking checkmate, right? And this checkmate position is the bank's fucking checkmate. The RBA's fucking checkmate. The government's checkmate, right? And it's just like back in 2009 when they said they were going to bail out the banks, but this time they're going to have to bail out almost everything. It's a cool time. Josh, I had a random friend request the other day from a property guy. Yes, there's fucking scammy fucks out there, right? What everyone should do is they're getting these requests. Actually, I kindly request that everybody do this. If you get a friend request from someone after chatting or liking my videos, find that person's company and give them a 1-star and a fucking shit review. And if you could come back to my page and give me a 5-star review, that'd be awesome. But if you could, because there's so many fucking scammers out there, it's important that we try and just screenshot it, send over, and then everyone can go on there and pump them with like negative reviews. So there is scammers out there. The scammers are growing. If someone adds you and you go, I've never looked at anything property, I've never looked at anything investing, and someone's adding me and they're like a property spruiker, they're from a property company, they own a property company, go and write them a shit review because they're fucking scammers and they're trying to take the shirt off your back. Thanks for sharing that, Josh. Go and hit them up. They fucking take the bat out. Take the bat out with their fucking likes on their page. Give them 1-stars. I don't like violence. I just like being a funny guy. Clint, do you think that the property boom from the Chinese earlier on in Sydney was a part of the plan? No, I don't think it is. I think the Chinaman that allegedly ate a bat is just a fucking myth. It's like, I think that there's a larger play. Could it be biological warfare? Could it be? It was very interesting. I don't want to get into conspiracies though, but I do not buy a story about some fucking guy eating a bat. Just doesn't make sense, right? But there is some interesting timing. I touched on this beforehand. All the CEOs resigned from the largest companies around the world, Google, all the biggest companies. Go research it. They resigned from the companies prior to this happening. They knew that this was happening. I knew this was happening. I'm not a fucking time traveler. Otherwise, I would have told you that there's some bullshit corona scam coming out that's going to be blamed on. But I could physically calculate it, and these guys were aware of what was going to happen prior to it happening. And I believe that the China guys set up. If we look at what China did, I talk about it in my 5-part webinar series, which is on YouTube. Go to the YouTube B.Invested page and look at my 5-part webinar series and research that. And I talk about where China started trading yuan for oil, which is trading their currency for oil. And that was on about March the 25th, 2018. And from then, we started trade wars. We started to buy Kim Jong-un fucking Hollywood and bring Hollywood to North Korea because North Korea is their military base. And the 2 times beforehand, oil got traded in other currencies was when Saddam started trading oil in euro and got killed within 6 months, and we saw Gaddafi trade oil in gold, and he was killed within 6 months of trading that. And we saw if China was to start a war with the US, everyone else would lose because China's got more human capital than anyone else and a large military base, so they've got to try and hit it in some other way. Notice that the day that this Corona scheme came out and some poor bastard allegedly ate a fucking bat, Trump did a trade deal, which was a real shit trade deal that was like very wishy-washy, and suddenly they've tried to chop China at the knees. So interesting. Gertz, what is your prediction on how high the unemployment rate could go up to? I've got no idea. It could go 20%, could go 30%. Just depends on how long this is stretched out for, how deep this goes. But this is not something that's going to go away. Right? Remembering a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. We would have been there if we didn't have that fucking bullshit injection of liquidity that I've talked a lot about. I'm just reading some other comments here, which I'll get onto in a second. And sorry, this is a long video, but I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I'm no expert on fucking health. I'm no expert on mental health. I'm no expert on. I've never been into a depression beforehand, but I've researched a lot of this sort of stuff. So if I can share stuff, then cool. But the unemployment rate, how long is it going to go out for? If we have 2 negative quarters of growth, we end up in a recession. 4 negatives, we're in a depression, right? We're going to see this come and go. Could it be a week, a month, whatever? I think it's going to be maybe 2 months, 3 months. It's going to really fuck the economy, guys. It's really going to fuck the economy. And then there's going to be the flow-on effect, the people that can't get out, the business that can't go out, and the defaults and all these sorts of things that will flow on through the markets over a couple of years. But there will be bailout after bailout after stimulus package after stimulus package after bailout after bailout, and things are going to get really, really interesting out there. So how high can unemployment go? I saw a line all the way around a fucking Centrelink today, and it was in a very well-class sort of area. It's not in the back of some fucking very high government-stimulated suburb. It was in a affluent area of the Hills district of Sydney. So anything could happen. Matt, I've been a call my agent saying to drop the rent because the tenant lost their job. There will be a lot of that happening in the next little while. And it's how your agent sort of navigates through this period of time. If you need help, I run a national property management firm. I'm very strict on my tenants. I treat my investors' portfolios like my own properties, and I run it like a hedge fund more than a real estate office. So if you need help, feel free to reach out. We're trying to work out the best packages, trying to make sure that we get the tenants to nurture them throughout this period of time. So if you need help, but it will be something, I think we're going to see a stimulus package for tenants. Otherwise, the government will have to write back home to motherland and to also the central bank, RBA, and explain why there's so many people that are homeless moving forward. Andrew, what is the best way for your team to help with my financial position, financial advisor, solicitor, etc.? Can they assist in protecting my super? Looks like a good time to buy shares. Macquarie Bank was $150 per share in February 2020. Now it has dropped to $70. Possibly good time to buy. Don't want to speculate on that stuff. From my perspective of how myself and my organisation can help you guys, I can help you, with your super fund. I can help you with a will, own a law firm, can help you with legal. Got an accountancy practice where I specialise in property investors as well as business. I have a lot of doctors that we look after as well, and doctors sort of medical field in that perspective. So I get a lot of access to knowledge from those areas. So if you're in business, I can help you out on that perspective. Help manage your properties and your portfolio. I've got computer software that I've built. I finance people's property portfolios via finance, and also I have probably the third buyer's agent that ever started in the country. I've got the largest buyer's agency. I run it more like a family office where I help my investors build wealth using property as well as other financial assets, which I run myself, and I help my investors one-on-one with them. So it's not like you deal with another person. Obviously, I'm one person. I work 20-hour days, and I can only spread my time to certain levels. So if you need help, I can personally help you one-on-one on that front. So thanks for that. Andrew, from my view as a mortgage broker, I'm still seeing people keen to buy investment properties, as this is unique. If you work within an industry that is not affected as much as many people see strength of property as a buy and hold development strategy, I've only had one client pull out due to hospitality, understandable, which represents very low business as usual and working hard. Let me tell you guys, and very important that you say that. Like my office as a brokerage firm, we have had unprecedented amount of people wanting us to look at them, pull equity out. I'm pulling so much equity out for people. There was over like 11 people on Friday alone that my brokers had pulled equity, and they randomly just contacted my investors and they're like, "Hey guys, just so you know, we just pulled out, 50 grand here, pulled out $80,000 there for you." And these guys have now got an extra deposit or an extra 2 deposits to go and purchase more assets. And for a long while, things have been tight in the finance lending space. A lot of my investors now have got an ability to get access to new money that they didn't have beforehand. From a business perspective, I'm literally at a point where things are going so crazy, we can't even keep up with everything. So that's an indication of where markets are at from a property front. Losing 30 deals in 2 weeks due to people paying more money is another sign of the market. Tommy, how will debt be irrelevant with inflation? Will investors' debt reset to $0? Please explain. I will explain that very clearly. This could be one of the biggest education lessons for everybody here. I'm going to use a real life example of how this occurred. One, with my own family. Two, with Nazi Germany in the 1920s. So I'll start with my own family. Mum, Dad bought a house, $13,000 in Sydney. It's worth about 1.2. Back in the day, I think my dad was on about $40 a week. And this was like 50 years ago, maybe 52 years ago. My parents bought the principal place of residence. And when they bought that property, they had put down a 50% deposit and interest rates were much higher, like 10% or something like that. And it took like 20 years to pay off the house. And I look at it and I think to myself, my dad bought the house for 13 grand, put down a 7 grand loan or whatever, got like a 8 grand mortgage, took a long time to pay off that mortgage, service the debt. If they bought it with a 100% loan, never paid a cent off it, just serviced the debt over the course of the last 50 years, and we're at a position now where they could sell the property for $1 million. A new buyer would be paying double the amount that they paid just in stamp duty. If you bought it as an investment property, you'd probably be paying the amount that they paid for it per year in land tax. If you were to rent it out, the house would rent for, probably get the house paid out within 3 months worth of rent. That was over 52 years. What my view is with this inflation that we're going to see, so not that your debt's worth nothing, is that $13,000 compared to where it is today it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. So will your debts be wiped out? I don't know. I doubt it. But when hyperinflation hits, something like that period of 50 years will be condensed down to 5 years or 10 years. The inflation will be so great. Research what hyperinflation is. You're paying off today's debt with tomorrow's dollar. In Nazi Germany, it's reported, and I'll post a video on this actually in Birchfeed afterwards, just on Mike Maloney talking about this in 2008 with Robert Kiyosaki. It's a very hidden video, like no one really knows where it is on YouTube, so I'll find it and send it over. But in the 1920s, it's reported that you could retire on 50,000 German mark in the Weimar government. And then within 3 years, so say 50,000 mark would be worth like $5 million today. Just crack my neck. $5 million. And then within 3 years, the bank closed the bank account and didn't even send a letter to the money owner. The reason why is that the postage stamp was worth more than 50,000 mark at that period of time. So in that short period of time, money had lost its value so hard that a postage stamp was worth more than what you could retire before. But if that was debt that you had beforehand, you could pay off that with a postage stamp in the future. So understanding how money works and then trying to act accordingly, throughout that. Nick, can't we all sue China, bankrupt them? Look, guys, it's not Chinese, right? Going back in early 2000s, it was like there's hate on Muslims, right? And there's hate on terrorists and people talking stuff they don't know much about. Is it? I've heard a lot of people. Like I've got people. I know many white friends, right? So I've got people from all different backgrounds and very culturally diverse. However, I see people saying, "Oh, fucking Asians, they're doing this, whatever," which isn't cool, right? Like, so it's not that it's China that's done it. They're saying, "Oh, China did it." That, is it an attack on China? I actually feel like it could be an attack on China. So yeah, just my view on that point. But yeah, everyone has their own opinion. I'm not here to try and change that. Um, but let's try and sue someone. We don't need to sue anyone. We're just going to get money printed. Like we're in a depression already. Like we're just blaming something for it. So yeah, it's pretty good to use it as a scapegoat if you really wanted it. Like, hey, I didn't fuck up. It was this thing over here. It was some guy eating a bat. Let's go find him. And Danielle, hey Nathan, who do you mainly use for landlord insurance? I can't give financial advice, especially in like thing like this, on landlord insurance. However, who I use is Terry Shear and EBM. They're the ones that I've found to be the best over the years. Obviously, do your own research and all that sort of stuff. If you ask me my personal view, I fucking hate all insurance policies and all insurance companies. It's important to look at the little fine print in them to see what things they cover and what things they don't. Michael, do you think people will default on their mortgages? Probably. Like people are defaulting on their mortgages all the time, but I think there's going to be an amnesty there for people, and the banks are going to have to cover it. It's going to be like this is a time. Imagine if there was a fires, right? Let's just pretend that there was a fires, and let's say that you had all this paperwork you wanted to get burned, right, and hide it and say, "Oh, I don't know what happened to it," right? My mate's hearing this in the background, he's like laughing. But if this was a time where people wanted to dispose of stuff, they could use this as an opportunity and throw all their fucking paperwork in the fire, or pretend that the paperwork was in the fire and just go, "Oh, it's just a fire. I can't do anything," right? So how many people will default on their mortgages? People are always defaulting on mortgages. Like this is going to get papered over. Like if someone's in mortgage trouble, now everybody's in mortgage trouble, so they've got to help them out. So everyone's going to get helped out. So it's a really, really sort of interesting time and great time because people can take advantage of it. And I don't think we're going to see mortgage defaults because everyone's going to get bailed out. That's my view, and obviously not financial advice. Like nothing that I say. Josh, how many companies you got, mate? I might try and call you tomorrow. You just answer my question. I've got all different companies. So I've got dozens of companies that do all different things. So I talk about a lot about my property investing companies, got other stuff that I do. If there's something you need help on, if I can't help you, I'll put you in contact with the right people. Nate, do you think interest only is a good option right now? In terms of using extra cash to work towards an extra purchase, downside being a higher interest rate. Money being at 0%, if I could have all mine, and this is non-financial advice, with it, I'm a big fan of interest only. I still am I'm okay with the position that I'm at principal interest at the moment because it's where my portfolio is at. But in the accumulation phase of my portfolio, I had everything in interest only, and it was very important for me for rapid growth to be at interest only. But that isn't financial advice, and you need to speak to the right people. So if you need help, let me know. I can get my team to look at your finance position and give you some options as to, this is what interest only would look like, and this is what principal and interest would look like, and make a decision upon that. Michael, how long will Australians or Aussies feel the effect of the GFD? GFD has been here for a long while. The GFC never got recovered. It's been a 10-year sort of recession. It really took hold around 2017, 18 and 19. A lot of people feel that it fixed around the end of last year, which is where it just got manipulated. And we're right in the fucking eye of the storm, eh? Like we're going into some very interesting territory right now. I don't know. Right? I'd be fooling everyone to say, hey, look, this is how long it's going to be. I'm just looking at indicators. I'm doing my research. Very exposed in all different areas, from knowledge, from resources. I'm blessed by that. I'm blessed by the fact that I see what's happening with, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of mortgages every month. I'm blessed to see what's happening with the exposure of hundreds of properties purchased per month. I'm blessed by the exposure of managing thousands of properties to see trends before they happen. And this is a very unprecedented time. So I think we're going to be in for a very rough period for a very long time. But in that period, this is how I would sum it up into a very concise answer on that. Imagine we are in a big fucking hall, right? We're all in a big hall and we're having a wedding, right? And there's a big function going on and there's a big fire. And there's one door. Everybody runs to that fucking door, right? And as they're running through that door, there's no air. The denseness of the flames capture people. They get burned and things go wrong. They leave everything. They leave their fucking wallets, their rings, their watches, their phones, everything sitting at the tables, right? You've got a couple of options. First, you can sit there and go, oh, fuck it. Right? You can sit there and cry and go, I'm going to die, right? But sitting there crying ain't going to get you fucking out, ain't going to save your family, right? You can run to the door like everyone is right now trying to stuff their ass full of toilet paper at the shops and go, I've got to go and buy every bit of fucking useless food that I don't want to eat because it's going to be the end of the world. Or when people go do that, they get burnt. People are so scared, right? This is something I don't understand, right? Everyone's going to stand in a shop, like a fucking packed shop at the moment, and they're, I don't want to catch the coronavirus, but they're fucking putting themselves in this shit spot where they're surrounded by other people coughing and sweating and spitting and fucking whatever in the shop, right? Or you can go, hang on a second, right? I can see some little like inconsistencies here, right? And I could run around the floor, pick up everybody's wallets, rings, watches, and whatever that's sitting on the floor, and notice that there's a comms room in the corner or a storeroom which has got a 4-hour fire-rated Hebel block, right? Or Besser block. And I could take all the shit that I could collect off the floor, every fucking valuable off the floor, run, hide into that cupboard, knowing that there's a 4-hour burn time, right? It's going to take 4 hours to burn through that brick. And before that, I'm either going to die at the fucking door, I'm going to sit there and die by doing nothing, I'm going to die from doing whatever else, or I've got 4 hours worth of breathing time, non getting burnt, knowing that the fire alarm's going, the sirens are going out, so it's going to take 4 hours, less than 4 hours, 2 hours an hour to hose down that facility, and I'll be sitting in this cupboard with everybody's wallet, rings, and watches, right? And that's the opportunity that's out there, guys. It's the opportunity that's in the market at the moment. There's just so much opportunity, right? Shit's going wrong. How can you capitalize on that? What opportunities are there? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be sitting there for the next decade going, fuck, I wasted the biggest opportunity that was in my history, my parents' history, my grandparents' history, and probably up to my great-grandparents' history, by just fucking wasting it. So that's what I've got to leave with you guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Sorry that it's gone on for so long. It's been fun. And I'll be coming back with some more videos in the not too distant future. If you do need help, I'm trying to be as available as I can. Flick us some messages, and happy to help out where I can. Thanks, guys. Catch up soon. Bye for now.